Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. Brotherhood of Man took the world by storm and they were the first winners of Eurovision that we really fell in love with. Let's face it. And the star was Nicky Stevens. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning to you. Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
What a thrill it must be to be you. I mean, when we look at that song, Save Your Kisses for Me, I mean, it's iconic. Everybody knows it. But of course, it's one of many, many, many songs that Brotherhood did.
That's right. I mean, over the years, I think I've lost count, actually, how many we actually did record. And, of course, not everyone was always released. I mean, plenty were. So over the years, I'll have to do a bit of a recce on that, actually, but a lot of songs.
You can get them now in this brand new CD, which is called Brotherhood of Man Gold, and it really is a celebration of your life. When you get this and listen through it, I mean, every song's a memory, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really, really is. And usually 9 times out of 10, you can cast your mind back to where you were in the studio, where you were standing, etc., etc. And it absolutely is a memory.
Talk to me about your life and career, because you've known no different, really. I mean, you are a singer. That's all you've ever done.
Yes, I started singing at the age of 4. And obviously in Wales, it's the land of song and poetry. And at a very early age, my mother took me to a lady to give me singing lessons. I was only 9 years of age. And then I continued to have my voice trained classically. And I passed exams for singing and everything. And I was part of a very famous girls' choir in Wales. Not so much famous outside Wales, but in Wales, called the Howell Girls' Choir. And I was their soloist. And at the age of 14, we were travelling around Europe giving concerts, which was very, very prestigious in those days, going back to the 60s, to be able to do something like that. And it was just by accident that I came into show business. I never planned a career of especially pop singing because I was a classical singer. But it was my sister-in-law who worked at a nightclub and found that the band could not get a girl singer at all, for love nor money, and made me go and audition. And I got the job, even though I couldn't sing pop songs very well, I have to be honest. But I discovered that I liked that side of singing. And I enjoyed being up on a stage and singing the pop songs. And basically my career then, went from strength to strength. So all these years, I have been a singer. And of course, I'm a classically trained pianist as well. So I had the both, which has come in handy, oddly enough, on one of the tracks of what we are going to talk about. The accompaniment is myself playing the piano, so I was quite thrilled about that.
We'll get to all of that in a moment. You mentioned the clubs and the Swansea Townsmen. At 16, there you were doing a residency. Just last week, I was speaking to Toya, who was telling me about her life in the clubs, and she said how times have changed and how unbelievably crass it was that some of the managers felt that they had the right to grab you and grope you simply because they'd booked you. Was it a fun life in Swansea, or was it a tough life?
Well, mine was marvellous. I mean, I was very well protected because my sister-in-law worked in the club. Yeah. And you wouldn't want to tangle with her on a bad day, I can tell you. She was really great. But no, mine was fine. Absolutely fine. And, there was one or two incidents, yes, we can all look back on where boys or men were a little bit forward, but, soon put them in their place. I was very lucky like that. I was absolutely fine.
And I guess your confidence is part of it, because you have to have a certain swagger when you walk in those places. They can be intimidating, can't they?
Well, they can be, but for me, looking back on my early years in residencies, I was lucky that everybody I worked with was really nice. I do recall a drummer who used to sort of, when I was singing, sort of reach out and go and touch my derriere, so to speak. But I just used to knock his hand with a microphone. And I think that hurt him quite a bit. And being a drummer, he had to watch out what I did to his hand,
Yes.
So anything that happened, But you used to get that in those days. I mean, you know, a lot of these cases now that are being brought forward when people say, oh, so-and-so groped me, and, you know, it used to happen. You used to tell the person, back off, and that was it. Whereas nowadays, of course, you would be reporting them for a sexual assault.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Let's talk about the piano, because I play the piano too, and I don't know about you, but it is one of the most beautifully relaxing experiences on earth. Is it your best friend when things go wrong? Is that the first thing you turn to? Because for me, it's an amazing release, and it just takes you to a different planet, doesn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say when things go wrong. That's a bit of it. When things go wrong for me, well, one of the great things I always find, if you're down or if you're depressed or anything like that, music can sometimes be very, very uplifting, especially from a performer's side. I mean, there was a time in my life where I did go through some years of depression, which basically I kept to myself. It's always easier to put a smile on rather than explain, well, I feel like this because, which anybody that's been through depression will tell you. It's just easier to give a smile and that's it, and then go home and deal with yourself the best way that you can. But I do find singing and playing the piano, it is a wonderful release, and it's very uplifting. And singing especially, because of the breathing that comes into it when you're singing, you're creating more oxygen go into the brain. And, you know, I found that my work with Brotherhood of Man over the years, you step on that stage and you're totally immersed in what you're doing. It would be the same playing the piano. Sadly, I don't play as much as what I used to, but it's therapy. Music is therapy for the heart and for the soul, I always find.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in terms of family on stage, I mean, these people have been with you for nearly 5 decades now. It's a long time, isn't it?
I know. I mean, it's so hard to believe. We're celebrating 47 years together. I mean, that's amazing. It's like a lifetime. And I'm so pleased to say that one of the many questions that we get asked is, how come you are still together? I believe it's because we have a concept that works, and we all actually do get on together. You know, we all appreciate each other's humour. I always say to people, I laugh with those 3 people like I laugh with no other. And of course, over the years, you build up your in-group humour, so to speak, you know. And of course, you can relate back to fun times over the years. Oh, remember when this happened and that happened. And we all still enjoy working together, which is lovely.
What's it like on stage now? Has the show changed? I mean, do you have to tone it down, or is it still as extravagant as it used to be?
Well, we do all our hit records, obviously, because at the end of the day, that is what people come to see. But at the moment now, the show itself, it is all songs from the 70s. So not only our hits, but we do 1 or 2 other songs as well, which are from that era. And like we do some Bade City Rollers, Shang-a-Lang for a start, right. We do, you know, and Bye Bye Baby, which is a medley. And that is so great to perform those types of songs. And you see, what happens is, you perform great hits like what they are. You can understand why they were the hits when you then go to perform them yourself. Yeah. You know, I mean, I love doing the Shang-a-Lang medley. I just absolutely love it. And of course, you know, we do a lot of audience participation now. You know, where we always make a joke about you're much too young to remember the song that won the Eurovision. Yes. And of course, you know they're all going to say, no, we can remember it, you know. So then we say, okay, if you're that good, sing it. And the next thing you know, you got the whole audience singing Save Your Kisses for Me on their own. And they like, audiences like when you interact with them that way. And I do a little bit of a sing-along where I will start a song and I will let them finish it. You know, songs from the 70s that everybody would have remembered, like, you know, Middle of the Road, Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep, you know, for instance, yes. You know, or all songs like that. And the audience, you start off the first line and away they go, they're on their own. And they love that. It's entertainment, you know.
With 16 studio albums, worldwide sales topping 15 million, you've done the business and you've been there and you continue to do it. It's interesting, the 70s. I just flew to Stockholm to see Mamma Mia The Party, which is coming to London. And it's amazing how this music has become contemporary again. I think for a while, some of the songs you just mentioned were a bit sort of cheesy and silly, but we've fallen in love with them again. And that, of course, happens with time. Our nostalgia makes us love these songs again.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I always find if you go around anywhere, I have found this a very interesting observation. You go around any karaoke place, and you can guarantee that the most popular songs will be from that era that everybody gets up to sing.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, all right, people will try, you know, songs that have been brought out much later, of course, you know, because we're looking at 40-odd years ago. But you would be surprised at the amount of songs, youngsters that perhaps weren't even born then, that pick those songs to sing. It's quite amazing.
And what was interesting about your back catalogue, when you look at most of them, they're sort of back of the shower songs. We can sing along. Was that always intentional? Because sometimes you can be a smart ass and write a song that's so clever nobody can remember it. But these songs were all instantly recognisable.
Well, I think it was the style of the boys, really. You know, that wrote the songs along with our manager. It was their style of writing. I mean, some of the songs that we brought out before Save Your Kisses for Me, you know, they were great songs, but they were always melody. And as we say in this business, melody will always prevail, you see. Because, you know, the average person at the end of the day loves a song that they can whistle or they can hum or la-la to it. They've got it in their mind, I can sing this. Okay, I might not be the greatest singer, but I can sing it, you know, which is very satisfying for them, of course.
Tell me about Eurovision itself. I mean, right now we look at it and it's this huge Goliath of a production and the pressure's ludicrous. Was it like that back then? Did people take it as seriously?
I have to be honest, I think we did the Eurovision around the best time that it was. There wasn't hundreds of countries in it for a start, you know. It was the Eurovision Song Contest and it was the countries of Europe. I think there was about 18 countries when we did it back in 1976. And it was known and recognised for being what it was, the countries of Europe taking part in a song contest. It was marvellous to do, absolutely marvellous, and it's a great showcase for young songwriters or old songwriters, but people that have never maybe had recognition for their work. That is very good. It's also a great platform for any artist that is pursuing a career whose talent hasn't been recognised yet. It's also good for that as well. It's a wonderful thing to do, and even now I appreciate the enormity of it. The amount of organisation that goes into it is absolutely fantastic. Of course, there's the normal complaints now. We will never win. It is political. You know, we've got all that. But it was different back when we did it, and I do think that was about the best time, personally.
Yeah, and those songs and the careers that it formed afterwards, remarkable. I mean, just incredible, the legacy of people who did it back then. I'm not sure if you won it today, you'll have a 40, 50-year career like you guys have. It had a bigger punch back then, but then again, music was different, wasn't it? It was more powerful.
Well, this is it, you see, and times change. But the amazing thing about the Eurovision Song Contest is we do work a lot in Europe, always have, you know, Germany, France, Belgium, Holland, and, you know, Denmark and places like that. And very often over the last 40-odd years, we've been invited to perform at their Song for Europe, you know, where they decide which song is going to represent their country. And we're asked to perform while the voting is on. Also, you know, we will fill that slot.
Yes.
And there might be a few other Eurovision winners on with us as well. And it's always televised. It's like a stadium-type venue. It's enormous when you go. They make such a big thing about it compared to how we do it, you know.
Yeah, and I think also they take it more seriously too. Our tongue is in our cheek, isn't it? Really, let's face it. And that's partly down to Wogan, who created that beast.
Yes. I mean, you know, I loved Wogan in many ways, and then sometimes I would think, oh, please just take it a bit more seriously now.
You couldn't care less.
I mean, my favourite one, I mean, I've got to be honest with Wogan. Oh, I can't remember how many years ago. Obviously, it was quite some time ago. And I'm not quite sure whether it was a Russian entry this particular year. Right. And you just heard this voice saying, well, if Dick Emery wasn't dead, I would have my doubts. I literally just screamed laughing.
He had a way with words.
He did. He had a way with words.
I remember him looking at one woman from Russia and he said, she's got a mouthful of teeth. I thought it was a beautiful turn of phrase.
Yeah. I know that could have been the one if Dick Emery wasn't dead. That could have been the same lady. Yeah, it could have been the same one that you mentioned that about.
Oh, gorgeous.
But no, it does appear to be a lot bigger in the other countries than what it is here. But there again, you see, there's a great Eurovision fan club base.
Oh, you know, people love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations on a remarkable life and career. The new triple album, so triple CD, is available now at a remarkably cheap price as well if you get it on one of the places like Amazon. Triple CD, 3 CDs with songs like Save Your Kisses for Me, of course, Oh Boy, My Sweet Rosalie, United We Stand, There's In Love, I'm in a Dancing Mood, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, loads of classics, 3 CDs in one album called Gold, Brotherhood of Man. Nicky, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Before we go, can I just mention a couple of tracks to you that people might find totally different to the Brotherhood of Man that they know?
Yes, please.
And that's on CD number 1. Number 5, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. That is a very different version to what you will ever hear. And also on the same CD 1, number 19, Send in the Clowns.
Oh.
Very, very different. It's Brotherhood of Man singing in 4-part harmony, and it's very, very different to the other songs. And you'll see another little side of the talent, may I put it that way, that we have between the 4 of us.
Beautiful. Well, I haven't heard the CD yet because it's not done yet. It's out on May the 10th, so they couldn't send it to me, but I wanted to get in first with the chat, so thank you so much. I can't wait to hear it. You bring a smile to our faces. You brought joy to our hearts for many, many years, if not many decades. Congratulations on everything. It's been lovely talking to you.
That is a lovely thing to say. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.